I hate homeschooling, but I do it anyways. This is a comment that I saw online, and I wanted to start something new on my channel where I'm doing like almost like a podcast kind of video. Gina B Reacts, homeschool edition. So it's going to be about comments that I see online and other moms commenting on it, and just me reacting to it, giving my opinion, and then we can talk about it. Going to be a little bit of sometimes controversial subjects maybe in homeschooling, or things that, you know, that we are feeling when we homeschool, or it could be anything really. But let me know what you guys think about it. You don't really have to like watch this video. You can listen to it on your earphones. But I wanted to discuss certain topics that us homeschool parents can relate to, because homeschooling can sometimes be hard. Shocker. Is it time to throw in the towel if you hate homeschooling that much? There was a thread on the internet, like comments, and a mom was expressing her feelings about, you know, how she didn't really like homeschooling. She was doing it, but she felt miserable, basically. And a lot of the comments could relate to it, and then there was such helpful comments as well. So in today's video and future videos that I'm going to have, almost like a little series here on my channel, I'm going to have like talking about these like hard subjects. I have a bunch of them. I have like 20 topics that I already have planned. And it's just kind of getting other perspectives of homeschool moms. And if you are having a hard time in homeschooling and you do not like it, when is it time to kind of like reflect and change things? But this is not to judge or anything, or to kind of like point fingers at anyone. I feel like if you're feeling this, your feelings are valid. But I also feel like us as human beings, we can change the way we do things. And the beauty of homeschooling is the flexibility that it offers. So I wanted to talk about this subject. I hate homeschooling, but I do it anyways. And we're going to talk about all the things. I'm going to give my opinion as well, but I'm going to read from these comments, and you let me know in the comments what you think as well. Okay, so let's get into it. I hope one day I can have like a little podcast, like, you know, the mics and stuff like that. I don't have the setup for that right now, or the budget, but we'll see in the future if that's something that we could do, have a little bit more podcast style. I would love to have like a take on like what my husband thinks about certain topics as well. We could talk about a lot of stuff. In the end of the video, or maybe in a pinned comment, I'll let you know about the 3 other topics that I want to film about, and then maybe you can vote what you would want me to talk about, if this is something that becomes like that we really want on my channel. I'm just testing this out and testing out the waters and see how you guys feel about like talking about these certain topics. And I feel like us talking about these things can help us in the end. So this is what this mom said, okay, online. She said, anyone willing to actually admit that they don't like homeschooling their kids. At the same time, I don't want them in public school and can't afford private school. So it seems homeschooling is the lesser of the evils here, but at the same time, I'm not sure it's allowing me to be the best mom I can be, or anyone besides a mom for that matter. I'm not genuinely happy anymore with anything, it seems. How does that affect my children, I wonder? Please don't say I need more me time or find childcare. I've tried it all and it's not going to happen, and causes me more stress and resentment when I can't get anywhere with that. I'm wondering if it's starting to affect my marriage as well. Okay, this is a huge one. Like this is huge. Like, and at the end of the day, like if you're feeling that, your feelings are valid. We're human beings, and homeschooling can be hard. Life can be hard. I don't know who this mom is. It's anonymous, but there's a lot of people that have a lot of great advice. I'm going to read some of the comments here of the advice. One mom said, Teaching from Rest by Sarah Mackenzie was a good resource. Learning should be enjoyable for the teacher and the student. I totally agree with that. Maybe reevaluating the book work and doing only what's necessary when it comes to worksheets. Look for ways to make it more of a bonding experience between you and your kids. It doesn't always have to look so formal. Yes. Find what works best and have fun with it. So this is one of the comments that said, and I think it's really great advice. Sometimes we feel like we have to copy other homeschool families, and maybe that's not the case for this mom, but we can change things up. The beauty of homeschooling is that the flexibility that it offers. You could be year-round homeschooling. Like myself right now, I do year-round homeschooling, and that's because of the season of life that I'm in. Does that mean I'm always going to be year-round homeschoolers? No, but I feel like we have a lot of life skills happening right now, and I want to take my time with the individual subjects. So sometimes we don't do individual subjects every single day. Sometimes we don't do it all every single day. Doing all year-round homeschooling allows me to have more flexibility with my time, especially because I work now too. Like I do social media marketing, I'm working with different brands, I'm working like behind the scenes, doing things that you guys don't even see here. And that's a way that I make an income here. And it is a full-time job right now. It's a full-time job for me, but I have to be flexible. And that's the beauty of homeschooling, is that you can be flexible. Anyways, I thought that was really good advice. Let's see what this other mom says. This other mom says, I hate homeschooling, but I do it anyways. That's all she said. And I was like, wow, that's a very powerful statement. And I'm so sorry that this mom feels that way, because I feel like you shouldn't, if you hate something, you shouldn't be doing it in a way. So, or you have to change. So yeah, that's kind of like a huge statement. This mom said here, I just went through a kind of meltdown a couple of weeks ago. Who hasn't had a meltdown before? Yeah, I have. We've been sick for 6 weeks straight at this point, with all the viruses and a couple of infections. It's been hell. Guys, when sickness hits, I'm telling you right now, it is hell. And it's hard to get back into a routine when that happens too, because like everyone's sick, they're coming back and they're still not like 100% because like you're trying to get in there. Like it's hard. And it's different from when you have your kids in public school and they're sick and they stay home, compared to like when you homeschool, because you're with your kids 24/7. And it seems like when one child's sick, it gets to the other one and the other one. It's like a domino effect. And then you end up getting sick, and guess what? There ain't no sick days for you, because if your kids are feeling good, guess what? You still gonna have to do stuff. You still have to cook, you still have to clean, you still have to get on with life, or things get left behind, and then you get stressed because then when you're feeling better, it's all crumpled up in one, and then it's like, Anyways, you know what I'm saying. Do you know what I'm saying? Okay, so this mom continues. She says laundry was behind, cleaning was behind, dinner making was lazy AF, and I just lost it. Why am I relating to this? Like, I'm relating to this. I told my husband we should put our kids in public school, because then maybe I could get some time to myself and actually keep the house clean. I said I was sick of the mess, sick of cleaning a mess, and then the cleaning be destroyed in less than a day because of our goblins. Like I went off. Guys, why am I really... It's hard, man. It's hard. Okay, let's keep on going. I ended up saying I don't want to public school, but darn it, I want to be a person again. We stepped up and cleared the whole place for me so I could just focus on laundry. He told me to pause school until we were better, because doing school, one, all of us are sick, wasn't fair to anyone, least of all me. Then he ordered food and we watched a movie, and he sternly got onto the kids when they started making a mess to clean up after themselves, because your mother isn't your maid. Do you sometimes feel that way? Like you have to put your kid, like I feel like we have to give responsibilities to our kids, and you'll be surprised at how much your kids can do. Sometimes you just need everyone to do a little bit of something, and sometimes it's hard to keep on nagging on them all the time, but we do have to give our kids responsibilities, you know, because we're not their maid. I'm currently sitting in a doctor's office as I type this, waiting to get a swabbed for strep throat. So sickness isn't yet behind us, and I'm still feeling overwhelmed, but definitely have more peace than I did before. My husband isn't perfect and he drives me insane sometimes, but I wouldn't be able to homeschool if he wasn't as supportive as he is. Yes, homeschooling, sometimes we feel like because our significant other, they work, that they don't have to do anything in the sense of the homeschooling, the housework. Our husbands have to be accountable. Our husbands have to help us in some way, because when my husband was actually, I was working full-time than my 9-to-5 job, and my husband actually was with the kids, homeschooling them, just doing the fun things. I actually did more of like the bookwork with the kids. This was when they were younger too, but I did more of like the bookwork one-on-one, and my kids actually did like just the fun stuff, science, activities, hands-on stuff. he said that, man, this homeschooling thing is hard. Like staying with the kids, it's mentally exhausting because it's always go, 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 go. And he said that his construction work is much more easier than staying with the kids full time. That's what my husband said. And I actually have a video up on my channel. My husband like kind of convinced me to homeschool, but he's very much supportive in a lot of the things. Sometimes I have that moment too where I'm like, okay, hubby, you're gonna have to take over. You're gonna have to help me because I am drowning. And I let him know that, like, I'm drowning right now. I need some time to myself. Let me go to the grocery store by myself just so I can have my thoughts together. Let me, like, my mom lives close by. Okay, I just need to go to my mom's house and reboot. Can I just like go sleep there or just like have a moment to myself? And I know that a lot of people don't have that. And right now I don't have family members. Like if you have family members that can help you out to like stay with the kids for a couple of hours, trust me, you can clean a lot with a couple of hours. I just did, I'm going to be doing a day in the life, and my husband just staying 30 minutes with the kids outside sometimes will allow me to kind of clean up and just do that kind of work that I need to do without anyone interrupting, because you clean up one space, the kids will ruin it right after like you just cleaned it up. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it never ends. It never ends. And it can be overwhelming sometimes, but sometimes you just have to be okay with sometimes having a mess because your kids live here. I mean, if you're looking for perfection, sometimes you have to change the way of you seeing things. But anyways, maybe someone will comment on that. I screenshotted these comments a long time ago, so let's see what they say, because I'm a little bit surprised with what I'm reading too, because I haven't read this. Like, I think this was done like after like, this is like 6 months ago that I screenshotted this. Okay, this mom says, yeah, me, I don't like it. I like being with my kids and doing fun stuff with them, but sitting down to do book work is just as painful for them as it is for me. I'm not a structured person, so there is guilt that hangs over me because I am not doing the routine of the day. Doesn't help when my husband is constantly chasing us around to do some schoolwork. I just have a lot of other things I'd rather be doing. Cooking, cleaning, sewing, organizing, it's all higher on the list for me. So I think that there's a lot of like changes of mindset that have to be done when you homeschool. What are the important stuff that need to be done? How can I connect my style of learning with my kids' style of learning and like put it all together? Because math, language arts, and all these things can happen with day-to-day life. It just depends on how creative you are with it. But yeah, a lot of families feel that way, and I mean, feelings are valid, right? So let's go down to the next one. This person said, choose thankfulness. Yes, it affects your family. How often are you in his word? Okay, this is a Christian. This is a Christian. Okay, I'm a Christian. I completely agree. How often are we seeking God for help? If you're a Christian and, you know, how often are you putting it in his hands? Declutter and prioritize. Yes, decluttering helps a lot. Choose to smile at your precious family. Imagine you are old and on your deathbed, then suddenly have a chance to come back to this time in your life for another chance. How do you want to shape their childhood, their memories? Do you want them to remember mom being grumpy or mom showing them it was a joy to teach them? There are sweet times even though there are hard moments. Instead of declaring you don't enjoy it, declare that you do and choose it every day. I love this. Cutting back on sugar, getting sunlight, fresh air, enough sleep, etc. helps too. Most people are deficient in magnesium too. Try natural calm. Whew, there's so much to unpack here. Yes, sometimes we forget that we are human too, and we need to be nurtured. We have to take care of ourselves. Tell me if you've never like put your health in the back burner. I'm suffering from right now, guys. Like I had a huge like issue with iron deficiency, anemia. I already have a hard time absorbing iron just in general, even before I got pregnant. But taking care of ourselves is so important. Sometimes my husband even tells me, he's like, get out of the house or the trailer right now. Get out of the trailer, go get some sunlight. You're gonna feel so much better, because you can't just be doing work. You're with the kids, you're cleaning up, and then you don't even end up going outside. Sunlight, fresh air. Are you needing something in your body? Like she said, magnesium, vitamin D, guys. A lot of Canadians are suffering from vitamin D. My vitamin D is actually pretty great right now. And that's because I take my vitamin D supplements. I take these gummies. They're called like Honeybee. Anyways, they're a Canadian brand and it tastes so delicious. It's almost like you're eating like something, it's like made out of honey, and they're so amazing. My vitamin D used to be a 4. I was so deficient. Now I'm like in the hundreds. So at the end of the day, check what you need, because if you have like iron deficiency or anemia or anything like that, if you are not feeling well physically and mentally, spiritually, guess what? It's going to affect your family. And do you want your kids to remember you being grumpy? Man, that hit home for me, because I want my kids to remember me smiling. And sometimes it's very, hard sometimes to put a smile on your face. But sometimes I'll go into my room, my small little room that just fits my queen bed right now, and I just go like, God, Lord, put happiness in my heart, bring me joy. Because like sometimes I'm just feeling down because like there's just so much to do and it's overwhelming. But you have to choose joy. You have to choose it as well. And you have to take care of your mental health, because if you're not going to take care of it, guess what? It's going to reflect. And your kids, the kids are like a sponge. They pick up on bad moods. So sometimes when I notice that I'm like in a bad mood, I'm kind of like, okay, I even tell my kids, like, I'm feeling in a bad mood right now, but I'm going to turn it around. Like, I would just ask God right now, just like to change my heart, and I want to smile. So, like if I do something that I feel like, okay, you know what, I could have responded better to this. Like my kid asked me something, I was like busy, and I just kind of like, I responded in a way that I did not want to respond. I apologize. I say, you know what, I should not have said that. Like I apologize. Like, it's hard, especially we're in a 300 square foot space right now. We're like, tensions are high sometimes. So sometimes I'm just kind of have to reflect and be like, okay, you have to change. You have to change. You have to say sorry sometimes. And your kids see that. And sometimes when Nicholas is having like a bad moment in school, like when he's doing something, I always tell him like, okay, go pray, put a smile on your face, because a smile is contagious. Like, I think you've seen that if you've been here, like OG subscribers, you know that we talk a lot about that, like how my son says, there's no point of being in a bad mood because you're going to have to do it anyways. So let's have a good mood. And if you're going to be going in homeschooling being like, oh, I'm going to have a terrible day today, guess what? You might have a terrible day. But if you say like, today's going to be a wonderful day, I'm going to smile even though I don't feel like smiling. I'm going to choose joy. I'm going to go outside and I'm going to breathe in the fresh air. I'm going to be thankful for the things that I do have. I feel like that changes things, okay? So, and spending time in his word, if you're a Christian, are you spending time in his word? Another person said, I homeschool and I don't like it, but I don't like any of the schools around us. So homeschool it is. Now, if you don't like something, how can we change that you can like it? Like I said, homeschooling is very flexible. What can we change? I feel like sometimes we think that we're like in this bubble, that homeschooling is always going to look this way, but there are things that you can change. Is it our attitude? Is it our routine? Is it our curriculum? Is it the style of homeschooling? Is it that we need to get in more groups and find a group of friends, because a group of friends are hard to find? Anyways, that's another topic for another day. Someone said, I relate so much to this. It's exhausting. And it is. Hard does not mean bad. Hard does not mean you have to hate something. Hard does not mean that everyone's gonna be in a bad mood. Homeschooling can be hard, but it can be so rewarding. Homeschooling can be hard, but you still can have a smile on your face. Homeschooling can be hard, and you still can be in a good mood. It could be exhausting, but you can, in the end of the day, you could be like, man, this is a good day. Kids learned. I'm exhausted. It's a good exhaustion. Okay, and someone said here, are private and public school the only two options in your area? Only asking because we have church schools and charter school in my area. I know mamas who have their kids in them, and they say it's not the same as public school. Now, I don't want to say this because I know that this is very controversial, but if you are in a miserable state in your home and you're not willing to change because the original post said, don't tell me to do this or that because I've already tried it all. And she mentioned something about nothing brings me joy. So I'm thinking that, is this really homeschool? Because sometimes we could be like, homeschooling is making me feel that way. Because homeschooling is a huge part of your life. But is there something else? Maybe you are, if you're feeling these things, you are suffering from some type of depression and you don't even know it, or anxiety or something. Because sometimes we like saying that, oh, because of homeschooling, I'm feeling this way. But maybe it's something else. It could be something else. Sometimes we mistaken homeschooling for us feeling a certain way, if that makes sense. But yeah, maybe sometimes you do have to look at other options if it's really affecting, like even like the mom said, her marriage. Like if it's affecting your marriage, I would sit down with my husband, what can change? And if I'm not willing to change, maybe I need a season of putting my kids back in school, if that's an option. It doesn't always have to be forever, because I know a lot of moms that I've talked to that they've put their kids in public school and then they took them out. I was talking to a mom yesterday and she says that she has her kids in Catholic school. Here in Canada, you have Catholic school, you have public school. And she has her kids in Catholic school, and it's not as bad as the public schools. I don't know. I'm not trying to tell you to put your kids back in school, because that's not an option for me. I would prefer to change my ways. But if it's in a way where it's so like you cannot do it because of, I don't know what your situation is, but that's an option that you could discuss with your family. And I don't know. I'm just putting it out there. This other mom said, solidarity sister. Sometimes it just feels better to know you're not alone and there's people on this journey that feel the same as you do. Praying for better days ahead for you and us all. Yes. Sometimes it's nice to know that another mom is struggling at the same thing that you're struggling with. And I know that sometimes it's like, why? Why would you want to know that? Because it makes us feel not alone. And that's one of the reasons why I do share my struggles here when I'm having struggles. I share with you guys when I'm having bad days. I share with you guys like when I'm having good days. Because it's nice to know that we're not alone in this journey. I like that. Let's see here. Just said to my husband, this another mom said this. Just said to my husband earlier today that these kids make me miserable most days. It makes me so sad. I like seeing the fruit of my labor, like others have said, but they are wild 100% of the time and my nerves can't take it. I can't stand listening to them scream, talk, fight, run and jump upstairs. House is a darn mess. Everyone is constantly hungry, destroying everything possible, etc., etc., etc. The list goes on. Do we have good days? Yes, of course. But most days my nerves are shot. For reference, I have 2 boys, 6 and 7, both with ADHD and impulse control issues. Yeah, it's hard. I mean, I sometimes feel like I have these moments where I'm like, oh man, I'm so tired. Like my kids are driving me crazy. And I know that you don't like saying that, but I'm just kind of like, man, I'm tired. Like I need a break. But you know what? I was reading a lot online, and I don't want to become that person that's talking about like health and stuff like that. But what we eat and what our kids eat can trigger kids to become a little bit more wild. So sometimes like those dyes in food, what we eat is becoming very impactful in kids in the way they act, in the way they concentrate. So that's something to think about. I'm just gonna leave it at that. That's something that could be another topic for another day. But yeah, sometimes we think that it's because this is the way our kids are, and sometimes ADHD is confused. Now, I'm not saying that this mom is confusing it, but sometimes we can confuse that with maybe something that they're eating that's, you know, intensifying it, because everyone's body is different. But anyways, just something to think about. Another mom said, I would explore if there are any charter schools in your area or even surrounding town cities. They don't rely on government funding, and they usually have approaches to education that are different than public schools. We have one locally, and if I'm ever in a position where I need to send my kids to school, that's where I'll enroll them. Yeah, so like I was saying, another option. But also here in Canada, at least, private school is so expensive. Just so you have an idea, I was paying, because my son went to private school before we homeschooled, I was paying $1,100 or $200 every month for my kid. And obviously for me, I justified that because I was working, my husband was working, but imagine that times 3 because I have 3 kids. That's a lot. Anyways, just something to think about, right? Like it's very expensive too, so that might not be an option for some moms. Yeah, it's hard. Anyways, another mom said, hey, in all love and from a heart of complete understanding, you sound like you need to try therapy. I've been there, and just a few months of therapy really helped me. Yeah, I mean, to me, I feel like there is a time and a place for therapy. I told you previously, like I noticed that she said nothing is bringing her joy. Based on her comments, is that there's something else. Therapy is actually really, really great. I've done therapy before, doing therapy from time to time, and I feel like it's nice talking to a Christian therapist. Like for me, I prefer Christian therapists because we can relate to each other. There's nothing wrong with talking to someone who is not linked to your life. you know, that's not there, that knows you personally. I think there's benefit in that. So definitely something, if you're feeling that way and if you have the means, look into therapy. If you're Canadian, usually, like, if your husband has benefits, look into your benefits and see if they cover counseling. Really good advice. Okay, let's go to the next one. I can admit it, I really, really don't like it, but I also don't feel that school is safe anymore. Public school, she puts in bracket, or private. So I try my best to make the best of it, and it doesn't always come across that way, but I do try. Bless it. I always say this, and I've said this before in my previous videos. I've said how I take homeschooling as a way to bring me closer to Christ, because homeschooling changes your character. Like, if you want patience, girl, you're gonna get your patience tested with your kids 24/7. You want to work on the fruits of the Spirit, guess what? It's gonna test you in all those, you know? And to me, homeschooling is a way of changing our character for us to come closer to Christ. At least that's for me. So I think we have to change as well some of our thoughts and how we view things. So someone said here, I don't know your reasons for homeschooling, childcare, or anything. What I do know is that having a happy, engaged mom is going to be the best for their upbringing. If you aren't happy, what can you change? What do you need to change? Yes, we can change. It's our choice to change, guys. And sometimes you'd be like, but I can't change. Yes, you can. Jesus changes hearts. Jesus changes the way we look at things. So maybe you're not seeing things the way they should be done right now, but it can change, and there could be happiness in homeschooling. There should be happiness in homeschooling, because guess what? You don't want your kids to look back and be like, my mom was grumpy all the time. My mom was an ogre. Like, she was just upset all the time. And all the time when I'm feeling down like that, because I did have a moment in my first year homeschooling where weeks upon weeks, I noticed that I was like just snappy. I was like a snapping turtle. Like, everything was pissing me off. And I'm like, you know what, girl? You're gonna have to change, because you can't be like this. Your kids are gonna remember you like this. Is that what you want them to remember? Not me. And I know that maybe puts that guilt on you, but it's something that we have to talk about, right? Like, we have to change. We have to change in this life. We're not perfect. I'm not perfect. And once you realize that, you'd be like, it's baby steps. Yes, you could say sorry. Yes, you can change in a moment's time. An hour ago, you were snappy. Guess what? You can say right now, I'm going to change. I'm going to be happy, and I'm going to put my best foot forward, and I'm going to try. Anyways, this was really good advice here too. Another person said, this statement, I'm not genuinely happy anymore with anything, makes me wonder if there's something like actual depression going on. Do you think it's just situational and you'd be happier working full time and sending your kids to private school? Or do you think it's deeper than that? Do you have a baby? Maybe it could be PPD. Yes, postpartum depression is real. To answer your question, I don't love it, but it's what's best for our family. I'm thankful I can do it. So it doesn't mean you have to like love it and shout it out and have a YouTube channel and talk about it all the time. No. But I think it should bring some type of joy. You should like it a bit, because if you hate something, I don't think you should, like, it's not something that, I don't think hate and homeschooling should go in the same sentence. And it might be in the same sentence right now, but you can change that by changing things up a bit, right? So someone said here, yes, I can't do it anymore. My kids are too far apart age-wise, and I just don't have enough brain capacity. My oldest went back to public school yesterday, and my younger 3 will be going next year, and I'll just have the baby at home. I give it my best shot, but my relationship with my kids is not in a good place, and that bleeds into my marriage. None of us have quality time. It's just everyone on edge and upset or mad. It was no longer worth it to me, so I now will drive 30 minutes each way to take my kids a few towns over, so they are in a very small public school, 10 to 15 kids per grade, because I couldn't afford private school either. I'm hoping that fixes a lot of our home life stress. It's not my personal preference, but my well-being matters. And what good am I to anyone if I'm on the verge of a breakdown and wanting to leave my whole family and start a new life? I would recommend, even if you end up putting your kids in public school, work on your mental health. Because from my experience, before I started homeschooling, I was going through like a tough time when it came to my mental health, and I needed to work on that first. Because when you start homeschooling, you have to make sure that your mental health is okay there. I know that we're never going to be like 100%. Everyone's going to have trials and tribulations. But if you go into homeschooling and you're ready, stressed, and depressed, even before homeschooling, you have to work on yourself too. So that's where we're talking about therapy, we're talking about different, options. Anyways, really, I mean, hearing someone else's testimony, and it doesn't mean that if you put your kids in school that it'll be forever. And I know some people are going to be like rolling their eyes, Gina, what are you saying? I'm not telling you to do that. I'm just saying that sometimes you don't know what other people are going through. You're not wearing their shoes. You might say that, but I do it, and so anyone else can do it. I don't have a mindset like that. I feel like everyone is different. Everyone functions different. Everyone feels differently. I would never judge you for doing something that you feel like it's best for yourself. And I feel like we cannot put ourselves in other people's shoes because we don't know what they're going through. Sympathy, guys. And if this video, if anything, if you're not going through any of this, maybe you can like learn other people feel differently. Let's be sympathetic, right? Because sometimes I feel like there's a lot of sympathy lacking sometimes, even in communities in general, homeschool communities, mom communities. Oh, I breastfed, so you should breastfeed too. I breastfed all my 3 kids. Do I feel like everyone should breastfeed? Heck, man, breastfeeding was the hardest thing that I ever did in my life. And I even cringe sometimes when I see like a mom breastfeeding a little bit because I'm like, oh, like I breastfed my daughter up until almost 3. But I feel like it was so hard, and I sympathize with moms that try and they can't do it. But I don't judge them. I don't judge them for it because I feel like everyone has a shoe that they're wearing and you don't know how worn out it is. You don't know what they're going through. So yeah, so just wanted to add that. Someone said here, I used to feel this way, then I finally found a curriculum I enjoyed teaching. Maybe try switching. Yeah, that might be it. That might be it because I feel like there are curriculums that, vibe well with people, with families, and others that don't. Another mom said here, she said, you are not alone in this. I feel the same exact way. I refuse to put my children in school or daycare, and homeschooling with 4 children, 2 of which are actual school age, is extremely difficult. Homeschooling with littles is very, very hard. You're with them all day, every day, all the time. You tend to lose yourself sometimes, and it's hard to feel like you're doing your best for them because you've neglected yourself. I've tried giving myself grace. My youngest just turned 2 months old, and I have a 2.5-year-old, a 5-year-old, and 7-year-old. We do school when we can. I try to have them outside as much as possible. We go for walks, even if it's just down the road, simply just to be outside and get fresh air. I get everyone situated in the morning, and then I go close my door, wash my face or shower, go to the bathroom in peace, and then I get dressed. Then back to the grind of kids. Laugh out loud. We go to the public library at least once or twice a week. Ours has a play area for kids and they love it. Also, getting together with friends when you can is important. I don't have a whole lot of homeschool friends, but we do hang out with friends on the weekends when we can. Also, try to have the kids on somewhat of a schedule. I know a lot easier said than done, right? A lot easier said than done. I can relate to that. But I try to get my kids fed by 5 to 6 p.m. and showers by 7 to 7:30. Then we watch a movie together and read books, and they're in bed by 8:30. Every night, sometimes it's 9:30, but life happens. But that'll help with alone time with your spouse, and having some one-on-one with them is very important. I hope something I said helped. At least I know you're not alone in this feeling. Yeah, guys, you know what? I feel like I love homeschooling. I know. Shocker. I love homeschooling, but I have my hard days too. And like she said, having a routine, like to me, bedtime is so precious for me. 7 p.m. we start getting ready. Like I think that's so important to have, showers taken. We take a shower every day so you can calm the kids. I feel like kids with a shower, it just calms them, a warm shower. We read, we do our devotional, kids go to bed. I need my me time. I need time with my husband as well. That was such great advice. A routine really does help. Even though it's not perfect, it really does help. Okay, someone else said, how old are your kids? I wonder if the format or resources you're using are just not a fit for you and your family. Your teaching style is a huge part in making your homeschool work for you. I think we've been talking about that, right? Also, my kids are still little, but the biggest reason we're homeschooling is because I want our kids to have a strong foundation rooted in family. That relation takes precedent. And when those relationships are set as top priority, it seems easier to get buy-in for learning. The Call to Homeschool podcast has been a huge eye-opener for me in deciding how to expend my energy as we go forward. Yes. And guys, She said here, I think that my curriculum that I use, I feel like because of it, I feel like it helps my homeschool. I really do. Homeschooling, like the individual subjects for Nicholas, because he's so independent, and I have videos on my channel already sharing this, but because he's so independent, I spend time with my littles, but littles don't take so long. And sometimes we overthink things and how timing has to be. There is curriculums out there that really do help when it comes to homeschooling, and finding that right fit makes all the difference. Let's just do one more. Preach, girl. Some days I like it, and some days I'm just not sure it's good for my mental health. I don't enjoy it most days. I enjoy seeing the fruits of my labor though, like when reading finally clicks, or they learned all their multiplication facts. I enjoy the fun parts, but I really wake up and I think I can't wait to start a homeschool day. Someone said here, absolutely, you're not alone. What helped me was taking 2 weeks off at a time every 2 months or so, and not spending that time cleaning / organizing. I actually take a break from everything. Reading, binge watching TV, going to the park, whatever I wanted to do. Yes, my kids were still with me. Also switching curriculums, alternating curriculum week by week, and switching the way we do school, etc. So, and after another person says, so encouraging reading this and all the comments, knowing I'm not the only one that goes through this. This one breaks my heart. I spent the better half of yesterday afternoon crying in my car, feeling like a complete failure. My kids are special needs. I'm homeschooling them, working full time, managing the house and the bills. I'm exhausted. Every waking thought about school and work is consuming me. I feel like I can't breathe. We moved to a great school district and tried public school, and my son was beaten up multiple times, and my daughter got told to just die multiple times because her faith was annoying kids. I'm nowhere near being able to afford private school now that we moved to this expensive area, and I have to work just to pay our bills. I feel trapped and miserable. Oh, and did I mention the kids beg to go off their ADHD meds at the same time so they can feel again and learn how to cope? I'll just say, you're not alone, mama. That is huge. Like that's a lot to digest. And that makes me so sad, because these are real moms that have these feelings, and it's hard. Someone said we can get overstimulated too. Like, there's so much great advice. Okay, friends, kids are back, so I'm going to end this video here. I hope that this video can offer some encouragement if you are going through the same thing where homeschooling is not bringing you joy, if you feel like you hate it, and hopefully the comments that I read and just my personal opinions as reading the comments maybe helped you. If you have some advice for moms that are feeling this way, or if you want to share your story in the comments, we would love to hear them, and let's uplift each other and support each other in this homeschool journey that can be hard. Hard doesn't mean that it has to be bad. And if you like these types of videos, this new podcast kind of style videos, let me know down below, and check out the pinned comment to see the other topics that I want to bring here on my platform, and let me know what you would want to see next. Guys, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.